So it's one thing being able to communicate, but can you articulate yourself under pressure?
People are more scared of speaking in public than dying.
No one actually has a fear of speaking, but actually people also have a fear of judgment.
Did you ever not listen to Alan Sugar?
Yes. He said some stuff that I didn't necessarily agree with.
Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast, powered by ActionCOACH UK, the world #1 in business coaching. Since 1993, we've helped thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs worldwide smash through their limits and achieve extraordinary results. This is more than a podcast, it's your blueprint for success. So grab a pen and paper, take notes, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell for weekly growth insights. Let's do this.
ActionCOACH, the help you need to grow your business. Imagine a life where you were speaking so clearly. What you had in your mind was coming slick out of your mouth. It was rolling off the tongue. It was natural. There was no gaps. It all came out really well. And you did it with vulnerability, and that vulnerability literally magnified people to you. And you were in control of something called explicit monitoring. You're going to want to know what that is. You were able to manage distractions better than you've ever been able to manage distractions. That's what you're going to get from this podcast with Frederick Afrifa. Yeah, all right. The Apprentice.
Yes.
You were on The Apprentice. How was it?
What do you want to know?
Is it? I mean, people think it's a golden ticket. People think it's a golden ticket to success. What's the truth?
Far from the truth.
So what is the truth?
That The Apprentice is a platform. It's a bit like a trampoline, right? And you can jump on the trampoline, and then while you're up, you can grab stuff, but eventually you're going to come back down. And the misconception is that people think that they're going to jump and then they're going to go all the way up, and then gravity isn't going to knock them back down, but they are. So I think the difference between me and potentially other candidates is that while I was up there, I really worked hard to grab all the opportunities.
What kind of opportunities?
That's a good question. I think I already had a business to spotlight going into the show,
right,
which helped a lot. So already going into the show, I was doing what I'm doing now.
Big.
Big, exactly. So we help professionals get really good at communicating under pressure.
Right.
And technically it happens whether you're in leadership and you just got into leadership, so you got there because of your technical abilities, or whether you're a newbie in the corporate world, we help you to be able to articulate yourself well under pressure to accelerate your career. And then it helped that I did all of the presentations that I could, and one went really well, and Alan Sugar tweeted about it, and it got 5 million views and da. So I think going into the show with something to spotlight was very beneficial, because then people literally got in touch with me saying, you engaged so well with stakeholders on the show. I struggle to do that in real life. Can you help me and my teams? And I said, of course.
That presentation that you said, luckily it went really well, and
Yeah.
Alan Sugar, what made it go really well? Why was it so good?
It's a very good question. I teach this. So I think one of the things that I did was include storytelling.
Yeah.
And I knew I was selling something that was absolute garbage, but I tried to make the sale as emotive as possible, which I thought might work well for television, and it worked well for television.
Yeah, but now you're publicly saying that this was garbage. Yeah. All right, so I don't know where morals fit on that, but look, the fact that people buy an emotion, and how did you create that level of emotion with people then and communicate it?
Vulnerability, really and truly. So
Right.
I was selling a kids banking app,
Right.
and to teach kids financial literacy. As a kid, I didn't have any financial literacy. That was the last thing on my parents' mind as immigrants that migrated over to Italy. So I included my story into this thing. And I was like, imagine a world where children have the opportunity to learn about finances and all the opportunities that will bring. Now imagine a little boy that never had those opportunities and then made countless of mistakes and didn't understand the importance of credit. And as a result, missed out on those opportunities. That young kid was me. And I now want to create this app so that no child has to go through what I went through. And I think that emotive, storytelling, vulnerable truth is what made it good.
Yeah, well, look, imagine, such a powerful word, isn't it? Imagine this conversation being incredible for the listeners right now, so they can do something with it. In fact, what's going to be most valuable in this conversation, so that business owner, people that are listening to this, or business leaders, are going to get tremendous impact from this conversation? What's going to be most valuable in your opinion?
That we will always really be perceived at our level of communication.
Right.
Meaning if your technical skill or knowledge is a 9 out of 10,
Right.
but your communication skills are a 2 out of 10, you won't be able to articulate all of those ideas. So we will perceive you to be a 2 out of 10 individual, which is the worst place to be in. So I think you get value from this when you can match your communication skills to your knowledge or skill.
So what is communication?
Communication is your ability to articulate what's in your mind to other people.
That's the speaking side of communication.
Precisely.
But communication's two-way, yeah? It's speaking and listening.
And listening, exactly, yeah.
But sometimes, and you'll have had this, so be vulnerable with us as well. You're doing a presentation, and in your head, you're thinking, I planned on saying this, but in the moment, you find yourself saying something else, and you can almost hear yourself. Have you ever had that?
Absolutely.
And that's the gap. The gap between in here and what comes out of here.
Exactly. And what I found is that often that comes from our inability to handle pressure. So it's one thing being able to communicate, but can you articulate yourself under pressure? Because under pressure, our brain goes into fight or flight. It starts to process things really quickly. We speed up, we forget things, and then we have those moments.
So talk to me about communicating under pressure.
Communicating under pressure is, I think, one of the hardest things that people can do.
Why?
And it's because it's one thing knowing it, but under pressure, 2 things happen. One thing is called explicit monitoring, when we do things that automatically would have done in autopilot, but we start overthinking them.
Yeah, got it. Explicit monitoring. Nice phrase.
Monitoring, yes. And I have a friend of mine who is a female, and she recently walked past a group of guys she found intimidating, and she told me she forgot how to walk in that moment. Because usually she'd do walking in autopilot, but there and then she's fixated on how she's walking and she tripped over. That's explaining.
She was acutely conscious and aware.
Precisely.
Of everything.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And this other thing is this distraction theory, where in those moments of pressure, rather than focusing on what we should be focusing on, we're getting distracted by the perception that we have from the audience, by potentially what would happen if we fail. So we are distracting ourselves from the actual task, and that those 2 things tend to happen under pressure.
Yeah, okay. So explicit monitoring, I can understand that, and distracting under pressure. So what can we do to overcome explicit monitoring?
Yes, that's a very good question. The first one I call professional practice, which is, I come from a sporting background. So as an athlete...
Which sport?
Sprinting.
You're a sprinter?
Yes.
100 metres, 200 metres?
100 metres, 200 metres. Yeah.
So what kind of time are we talking here? 10 point or 11 point?
10.3 in 100 metres.
Whoa.
Yeah,
whoa,
21.4 in the 2.
Who's your coach?
46.0. John Powell at some point, a gentleman called John Powell,
Yeah.
down at Crystal Palace. And then I moved to North London. I trained with a group called Speedworks.
We just interviewed not long ago Daley Thompson.
Yeah.
He's the walking, talking definition of the word confidence. Yeah. Anyway, we digress. Let's get back to explicit monitoring.
So from a time in athletics, as an athlete, you go to training, you do the reps perfectly fine. You run incredibly fast times. But if you go onto race day and you haven't had a race simulation, you can't replicate that. Because all of a sudden, it's not just you focus on. There are other people in the race.
Yeah.
There are people in the crowd watching you. So what we would do is race simulations in training, where we get other people from other groups to try and practice that. Similarly, when articulating yourself, the mistake people make is that they practice their script in front of a mirror. And it's one thing saying it to your mirror, it's another thing saying it to senior stakeholders.
It's a whole range of different stimuli that's involved on the day.
Precisely. So that's one way to affect the explicit monitoring, is by actually putting yourself in that stimulus that you would have, or similar to what you would have in the real circumstances.
This episode is sponsored by Constant Contact. Constant Contact is a powerful yet easy to use marketing platform designed for small business. Leverage automation and AI to expand your contact list, build relationships, and drive business with email, social media, event marketing, and more. Now back to the podcast. Is that the same as distraction theory? All of the different... I mean, they've got to be linked, those two.
They are linked, and it's a bit different. Distraction theory just comes from also inexperience, but generally not knowing what to focus on. So some people are good communicators, but they're winging it and they don't really know what to do. And I always say that I play this game, which helps people understand their focus. And it's a 1-2-3 game where in pairs, one person says 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And when people aren't focused and other people are saying 1, 2, 3, and I'm playing music, people mess up the numbers. And I say, look, something as easy as 1, 2, 3 can get confusing when you're not focused. So when speaking, people generally focus on the wrong things. So rather than focusing on, this is the message I should deliver, they focus on, okay, my manager's not smiling.
Yeah.
Or that person's on their phone. He's yawning. Or I'm doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
Rather than focusing on how can I deliver this message as well as possible? Because your brain can't do both. And how I like to think about it is if you don't give your brain something to think about, it will pick for you.
It will do, yes. And usually it'll pick the negative. A negative is definitely a little bit more powerful than the positive in situations. All right, so control your energy, control your focus. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
How do you train that?
First of all, find a coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because just like with driving, right, you could learn how to drive yourself and it will take you a long time and you'll make loads of mistakes. Or you can find a driving instructor that can expedite the process and help you understand what to look for. Similarly, with your ability to speak and communicate, I think the misconception, people think it's a talent. So people think, oh, some people are naturally really good at this. Some people are terribly bad at this. But actually, there's a lot of people in the middle that have trained themselves to get good at communicating, similar to myself. And often it's just about acknowledging the fact that you need to get better and then being self-aware enough to understand, what do you do when you're under pressure? We all do different things. Some people look up, some people say, some people fiddle with their hands.
Yeah.
And that comes from self-awareness or having a coach that can externally tell you what you're doing.
Who's the best communicator on the planet?
It's a difficult question to answer because everyone's got different things that they are good at.
Yeah.
So you'd have Tony Robbins that's good at getting you from one state to another.
Yeah, he uses lots of, he's a presenter, remember? And a lot of these professional presenters on stage, they've honed the skill over many, many years. So they've done the 20, 30,000 hours of that. And maybe it's an indispensable life skill, that whole presenting thing. It's the biggest fear on the planet,
It is.
Speaking in public.
It is.
People are more scared of speaking in public than dying.
It's crazy. But what I say is that no one actually has a fear of speaking, but actually people also have a fear of judgment.
Yes.
So a fear of public perception that stops you from doing the public
What will
speaking.
people think?
Precisely.
And for any of the listeners right now, and be honest and vulnerable, if you ever think to you, honestly, how much of your time are you bothered about what people are thinking? Do we have to let go of that? Do the ultimate presenters let go of that or not?
I don't think it's binary, so I don't think it's yes or no. And it's more so on a scale of 1 to 10, how much is this affecting your fear of judgment? And your job is to get as close to 0 in as many situations as possible. However, the misconception is that once you have a reduced fear of judgment, you don't get nervous. But I don't believe that not wanting to be nervous is like not wanting to be hungry or not wanting to be tired. I think if you really care about something and you haven't done it in a while or you haven't done it before, you're going to get nervous.
It's a good analogy, that, isn't it? At some point, you're going to get hungry because it's a natural occurring thing.
Biological experience.
And anxiety and nervousness is a natural thing.
Exactly.
You're probably supposed to be a little bit aware if there's 1,000 people behind those curtains that you're going to speak to.
Exactly. And having a different relationship with nerves makes the whole difference. Because rather than thinking, oh my goodness, my heart's beating, my hands are sweaty, why is this happening? I've practiced. You think, okay, cool. My hands are supposed to get sweaty. My heart's supposed to beat.
Have you ever had a negative relationship with nerves?
100%.
When?
My time as an athlete. So I was one of those athletes. I still don't think I achieved my potential in athletics. And that's because I struggled to
the nerves.
Be the best version of myself under pressure.
The yips.
Man, my legs would get shaky. I'd feel weak. I'd start yawning. And I just wouldn't be able to express myself.
That's a good phrase, isn't it? The top communicators express themselves.
Yeah.
Authentically.
Absolutely.
There's a book that was written, it was called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And in order to qualify for this piece of research, you had to have less than 24 hours to live.
Wow.
And so some people were of old age, some people had been in horrific car crash or some kind of accident. And they'd ask you the question, what's your 5 biggest regrets? Wow. And one of the regrets is, I wish I had the courage to express myself truly. That's one of the biggest regrets. I wish I'd let myself be happier.
Man.
I wish I'd not worked so hard. I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. There's a 5th one as well. I'll come back at some point. It's another courage one, actually. There's 2 on courage. Do you need courage to communicate?
Absolutely. And I think The challenging thing in the AI revolution that we're living in now is that people are a lot less courageous because of social media. Because if we say the fear of speaking is more so a fear of judgment, then what impact do you think that being hyper visible on social media would have had on our fear of judgment? Skyrocketed. And for the most part, a lot of people said to me, before COVID, I was perfectly fine. And then I've had remote meetings, I haven't spoken to many people, and then going back into the office, an absolute mess. And I think that now things like courage.
Because it's in person, not
online.
Really?
Yes.
Let's acknowledge it. I mean, if that's the case, that's the case.
Yeah.
What's the difference between communicating over a video call and communicating in person? What's the real difference?
There are a number of different things. One of which is the focus piece. So in person, you have a group of people and you have several reference points. So, you're speaking to these people and you just focus on looking at the people or the message that you're delivering. Online, what people tend to do is they tend to look if people have the cameras on. They tend to look at themselves while speaking, and they are literally distracting themselves from delivering the message. And it's a thing, it's called Zoom anxiety, and it's being thinking that you're hyper visible because all of these people are here. You can't see how they're reacting to what you're saying.
Because you're watching yourself.
Whereas in real life, you can see, okay, they are not related to this.
You can't watch yourself in real life, can you?
Exactly. So you're hyper visible now because you're seeing yourself, seeing all of the flaws that you see, and it makes it harder for some people.
Yeah. Or easier.
For others.
Because you're self-aware, so I'm crossing my arms, right, better run cross my arms type thing, and you might not be aware of that in the moment type thing.
It's true.
How much has awareness got to do with performing when it comes to that communication?
It's very important. If anything, that's what separates the people that can communicate well under pressure and people that don't. It is that awareness. Firstly, awareness of your tendencies. So I know when I'm under pressure, my brain tells me to speak really fast. And it does that so I can just get off the spotlight and I can move on. Because I know that, I'm aware of that, anytime I'm under pressure, prior to my presentation, prior to this podcast, I'm telling myself, slow down, take your time. The rushed answer is never the best answer. If I wasn't aware of that, I would speak fast, jumble over my words, fumble, not communicate myself well, and make mistakes. For other people, they do this thing where studies show if you're in your mind for a prolonged period of time, overthinking, you hit what is an overthinking zone where your mind can go blank.
If you're in your mind for a long period of time, that's part of the definition of overthinking, yeah?
Yes, when articulating yourself. Yeah. So because let's say there are three systems, there are three systems that you want to use together when articulating yourself. And to make it simple, we'll call one system logic, one intuition, one emotion. The intuitive system is the first one we develop as children under the age of 4, all intuition, all vibes, very confident. If a 4-year-old is tired, they'll tell you. If they're hungry, they'll tell you. Then we start to develop the logic when we go into education. The problem is that we're in education for so long that as adults, we think everything must stem from that side of our brain, the frontal cortex, the logic part of our brain. But actually speaking has always been more intuitive. And especially, I train a lot of people that are subject matter experts. So you know what you want to speak about. So overthinking in that moment isn't going to help. And in fact, if you overthink for too long, you hit an overthinking zone where your mind can go blank. So then
You forget
all the things that you know, the project you've been working on for 4 years. You get in front of stakeholders and you're like, my mind's gone blank. So how can we mitigate that? Different people do different things when they are overthinking. Some people look up. Some people play with their hair or their ties. Some people say, And what you want to do is reduce it so that you can go back into your intuition. So practical example, my thing was eye contact. So anytime I think, and still do it sometimes, I'll look up. If I look up for a prolonged period of time, my mind goes blank. Because I know that, every time I look up, I'm like, go back to the eye contact so your mind doesn't go blank. And that's when awareness is crucial if you truly want to be able to be at your best under pressure.
Yeah, and look, self-awareness is part of emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is a different kind of skill to communication. So you've got one, they're both kind of indispensable life skills, aren't they? Emotional intelligence and communication, especially in the intelligence era that we're in right now. Emotional intelligence is becoming our main currency.
Totally agree.
Because the AI can do the thinking for us. In fact, that can alleviate the overthinking, can't it?
It's true.
Interesting. So Who are the worst communicators you've ever worked with?
The
You
worst?
don't have to say any names, but
Of
you
course.
can give them a fake name. if
There's
you want.
there's a group of people, and they are my favorite people to work with, and they are people that are highly technical, usually nerdy,
Yeah.
software people that very technical. As a result, these skills have got them into certain rooms, have got them speaking at conferences, have got them promotions, and then all of a sudden they realize in leadership, it's actually not even so much about being technical. It's all about the human skills, the emotional intelligence, the communication. And they're like, uh-oh, what am I going to do here? And those are people that I've worked with that are the worst communicators, but also my favorite people to work with.
Why are they your favorite?
2 reasons. Number one, they've got big budgets, usually. And number two, because the things that made them really good at being a software engineer also made them great students. Like they're sponges and they absorb information and they try things and they process things really quickly. And the way I coach is very gamified, so it helps anyone understand these skills, but they are sponges and they do adapt really quickly.
Okay, so look, we're majoring on speaking at the moment, not the listening side. We'll go there in a second. Yeah. Something you mentioned right at the start, we've just said logic, emotion, intuitive, but you mentioned storytelling.
Yeah.
Is that a skill that few have got?
It's a skill that a few think about.
They forget about it, you mean?
Yeah.
Forget to do it? They don't remind themselves? They've not trained themselves in it?
I think they just don't know the power of it.
So what is the power of storytelling?
A great example is me. From the moment I got announced that I was on The Apprentice, I told my story. So I announced the picture and I was like, whatever happens on the show, I've already won. I moved to this country at 12 years old. I spoke 0 English. Shy, introverted kid. My parents grew up in a village in Africa. Now their son's on The Apprentice. I've already won. 4 years ago, I was a delivery driver at Sainsbury's when I got dropped from my sponsor. Now I'm on The Apprentice.
So, but there, you're saying your story as in, this is a negative.
Mm.
So you're saying, you're alluding to it as that's the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
but
is part of storytelling the bad stuff?
100%. I think there are 4 elements of storytelling. The first one is to relate it to the people so they can see themselves in the story. The second one is explain the challenge. Like, what happened? What went wrong? Third part, resolve the challenge. How does it resolve? And then the fourth part, what's the moral of the story? What does that mean? And if we look at every story, every film, there's some bad stuff. There's some bad people. And then the hero overcomes those bad people. And then what's the moral for everyone that's watching? So I think it's really important to highlight, and that's when vulnerability comes in, to highlight, look, these are all the challenging parts of life that I went through. But this is what I did. And this was my mindset, even when it was tough. And this is my life now as a result. So what's the moral of the story now? That it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your current circumstances are. They don't define your future endeavors.
Let's do that for a few minutes, actually. Let's get the audience, the listeners right now, reflecting on their story. How could someone carve out? Are there certain ingredients, you know, if they had to share the story of their life for a second in dramatic style, with a bit of drama, is there a set of sequences they go through?
Absolutely.
And let's say that it's a 3-minute challenge. They've got to tell the story of their life in the next 3 minutes.
I love it. So, firstly, don't share anything that you're not over. And that's really important because some people, it's about vulnerability, but anything that you're still going through it, don't share it. Nice. That's the first caveat. Secondly, look at your current experiences in life. So it could be anything such as motherhood, such as going into university, such as moving country, such as learning a language, learning an instrument, all of your life experiences, and then pick one. Now, extract the lesson from this situation. Let's use motherhood. I'm not a mother, but let's use motherhood. You're a first-time mother. You had no idea what it would be like. You thought it would be kind of a walk in the park, and then now you have twins. What was the challenge? What was the hard part? What was the moment you realized, this was not what I thought it would be? That's the second part of the story. The third part of the story is, what did you do in that moment? Did you let the moment overtake you? Or did you grab the bull by the horns and say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to time management, whatever it may be. And then number 4, what can new mums or people that aren't mums yet learn from your story? What is the moral of the story? And that's simply it. Like, simply put, you relate it, what your situation was. I decided to have children. What was the challenge? I didn't realize that having twins was going to be so difficult. Time management, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. Number 3, so I decided to invest in myself, to hang around with other mums, to read more books, and to da. So what's the lesson? So if you're a new mum, if you're thinking of having children, don't make the mistakes that I made. Invest in yourself now. XYZ.
Nice. Finish with the moral to the story.
Finish the moral to the story.
The lesson, the key takeaway.
Very important.
Here's the message.
Yeah.
Kind of builds people up to it, doesn't it, really?
And I think it's a better way of explaining pretty much anything. Because I started this speaking to teenagers in schools. And I thought, how am I going to convince teenagers to do stuff?
Give us an example of a teenager then. Let's do a story, do a 60-second example, and go through those 4 points.
Cool. So I'm speaking to a group of people that are just about to get the GCSE results. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying to them, no matter what your results are, it's not the end. Why am I telling you this? I remember when I was just about to go into GCSEs, I was quite cocky. I was one of the smart kids. But I got quite complacent as a result. My grades declined. In that moment, I thought the world had ended. Coming from an African household, I thought my parents are going to disown me and things weren't going to go really well. And then I didn't go to the university that I wanted to because of those grades. And again, that affected me because all my friends went to these Russell Group unis and I didn't. However, I didn't let that define me. And I said, I'm just going to do my best with the current circumstances that I have. Now, I've started an organization, I travel the world, and I've become an entrepreneur, even though I didn't get as good a grades as my friends. So what does that mean for you? It means that you shouldn't compare yourself to your friends now. You're 16. Think a decade from now. Stop thinking in days and months, start thinking in decades. Because when I started doing that, my life changed.
Really like that. You passed the seal. I'm keeping you on the hot seat. I'm putting you under more pressure.
Cool.
Okay, I want you to tell a similar story now. Just make it up like you just did.
Cool. That's
relatable to the audience. Let's say there's a business owner listening to this right now that's under serious financial stress. They're under a lot of challenge. They're feeling the stress. Tell us a story now that's going to release them from that and that's relatable. So make it up in that sequence because it's relatable.
Yeah. So if you're a business owner who's under a lot of financial stress, my advice for you is to actually get out of the weeds of the business and get in what I call the helicopter and look at your business from a bird's eye view. Why do I think that's important? A mentor of mine called Roger has this term, which is getting a helicopter. And he's worked with hundreds and thousands of CEOs, some of the largest organizations. He told me a story that he once worked with a gentleman, well-known organization, and his organization was struggling financially. When he had a one-to-one consultation and he asked him, let me see your calendar, he found out that in his calendar, this gentleman was actually working in his business and not necessarily on his business. And once he actually started to delegate, once he started to look at things from a holistic point of view, then things started to turn around. So what does that mean for the current business owner? That you're probably in that situation. I encourage you to look at things from a bird's eye view, start delegating and start making bolder decisions, long-term decisions to save your business.
Beautiful. I like that. Get in the helicopter. And twice in that last one, you said, so what does that mean to you? That's a relatable question. That's a good it's a good method of communicating.
Typically, one of the first questions I always want to answer is, why should I listen to you? Because I'm a bit cynical. Anytime I listen to someone, I'm like, okay, why should I listen to you? What's in it for me? And that's how most human beings are. So it's all well and good you've scaled many companies. It's all well and good you speak 7 languages. But what does that mean for me? And that's why I think that's a really important question to ask.
Let's segue. Let's look at the reverse side of speaking.
Yes.
Which is listening, yeah?
Yes.
What's your definition of listening?
My definition of listening is processing the information that has been given to you.
Okay. Carry on.
The reason why that's my definition of listening is because, especially when people have confrontations, they typically don't listen.
Right.
to understand. They listen to respond. But true listening is listening to process the information.
I'll give you a couple of examples, and you jump into this. So I learned from one professor called Professor Martin Newman. He's a professor of emotional intelligence. He's a very, very smart man. Done a lot of research in these areas.
Good.
And he said this. It's a bold statement, this. Listening is the biggest skill in the world to reduce resistance in any area. Wow. Any area of life. Listening is the biggest skill in the world. What's your opinion on that?
Couldn't agree more.
Kind of gets you, doesn't it? Straight away. You know what the Chinese define listening as? If you go on Google and you type in listen Chinese symbol, it'll literally show you their word. And some Chinese words have several connotations. Like one word means 7 different things, type thing. So if you look at the word and the symbol, it basically says this: you listen with your eyes. One of the symbols is your eyes. You listen with your eyes. Now I'm present. I'm watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And it also says you listen with your heart. Wow. So how's someone feeling? And it also says, of course, you listen with your ears. A very common thing is 2 of these, 1 of these type thing. But you don't listen with you'll actually listen with these last. According to Chinese philosophy, the last thing you hear is the words, but you can see how someone's feeling. You can understand how their emotions and but then it goes deeper, does this Chinese symbol. It's like you listen as if you're listening to the king or queen. So if you were the king this afternoon, would you have your phone out?
It's true.
Yeah, or if your girlfriend or your husband or your wife or your kids are talking to you, and they're talking to you, would you be looking on your phone?
So true.
You see, that's not listening. You have to put the phone down, and that's the be present. The king and queen is be present. Then the magnify the be present, the same one word, listen, means all of these things. The magnify it, and they say, right, now you're listening to the only person in the world. This is the only person that exists. And this is you make them feel special. You make them feel significant. That's the Chinese stuff.
I like it. I like it a lot because I'm getting married next month.
All right.
So I'm thinking about personal life, like my fiance and I. And
if you can, by the way, if anyone listening, if you can do the listening at home, you can do it anywhere.
that's
That's the practice ground, actually, for becoming incredible in life.
Totally agreed.
You know, but what's very common as people go through life is they neglect the home stuff and they put all of it into work. But actually practice your listening at home, because then it is 10 times easier at work anyway.
It's true.
But people try and do it all at work and then just neglect it at home. Actually, just do all of the practice at home, literally.
Like you, I'm very much the same. And when it comes to leadership, when it comes to business owners, and when it comes to that human-centric leadership that I'm fond of, listening is more important than speaking, and listening intently, whether it's to your stakeholders. And it's so funny. So sometimes I work with business owners, and obviously I coach communication skills in terms of speaking, but then they're telling me their challenges, and I say, I had a sales call, and I just kept talking, and the client, I said, well, in a sales meeting, you should actually do more listening. You should have more of a consultative approach where you're trying to figure out what is the problem that they're facing and how can your solution help solve that. But actually, people don't do that listening. They actually approach it and they just more so want to speak.
One of your phrases is confidence over anxiety. Is that one of your phrases?
Confidence is evidence.
Confidence is evidence?
Yes.
Of
the thing you want to grow in confidence.
So everyone wants more confidence, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, we want more of it, but yet we make it.
Yeah.
Confidence is generated from ourselves, yeah?
Correct.
How does someone get confidence then? Get confident about speaking or listening or communicating or...
So anyone listening, I'll give you a moment to think about something you're currently already confident in.
Right.
The next question is, how many times have you done that? Typically a lot. Now think about something you're less confident in. How many times have you done that? Typically, not as much.
Less. Yeah.
And actually, it's not that complicated. Whatever you want to grow in confidence, give yourself evidence. Confidence is asking yourself, if I do this thing, will I be okay? And if you've done it 10 times in the last 10 weeks, then yeah, you will. But if you haven't done it before, you haven't done it in ages, then you can't have true, unshakable confidence. And a misconception is that confidence is universal. So there are confident people. But actually, I think more so, confidence is more activity specific. So I'm now a confident speaker. I'm an awful swimmer. You could be a confident swimmer. That doesn't make you a confident cook. Confident cook isn't a confident driver. And if I wanted to get more confident in swimming, I would need to swim.
Hours is the solution. Put the hours in. Competence.
Competence breeds confidence.
Yeah. Who said that?
Don't know. Someone said that.
Lots of people have said that, haven't they?
Yeah. But I think sometimes people overcomplicate it. And from my experience, I've helped people transform their communication skills in 2 days. We've done 6 hours on a Saturday, 6 hours on a Sunday, and after 12 hours, they communicate very differently than when they walked through the door on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I get that. It's an immersive experience. It's almost like your sole focus for those 2 days, isn't it? Even though it's only 6 hours out of 24, but it's kind of the big thing in those 2 days. So it's all you're really thinking about, and then you get better at it. It's like passing your driving test on a crash course.
Perfect example.
So you can get better you can get the result very quick when you immerse yourself in something, especially public speaking. Still doesn't cure the listening thing though.
Still doesn't cure the
listening. That's a different challenge.
The listening thing has to be intentional. You have to want to listen.
What's been your biggest lesson on lack of listening? Did you ever not listen to Alan Sugar?
Yes. So on that, he said some stuff that I didn't necessarily agree with. So we went to Turkey for a corporate away day.
Right.
And I did a negotiation. I put myself forward for all the negotiations. And I got a higher amount than the other team. But I did a very different negotiation. With the away day, there were 3 different parts of it. So there was a meal, there was an excursion, and then there was a team building activity.
Yeah.
What I did, which Alan hated, is I broke down the day. So I told them, typically, if you were to do the excursion, that would cost you 300 euros per person. If you were to do this, it would cost you this per person, that per person. So typically, as a package, that would cost you 5.5 grand. But today, I'll give it to you together for 4.5. And I got 4.5. The other team got like 3.8. The challenge was that then we got refunds. And they used the figures I gave them against the refunds. So they said, Frederick said the meal costed 200 euros. We only liked half of it. So we're going to have 50% of that. And then we ended up losing the task. Now, I didn't necessarily, he didn't like that approach. He said I shouldn't have broken it down. I'd be interested to hear your opinion as a successful entrepreneur. Because I feel like I wasn't in charge of delivery. Like in the real world, I would have been in charge of delivery and I would have got a higher price and I wouldn't have got a refund. But I don't know.
My opinion is this. Mistakes teach us more than successes.
True.
You have to listen to it. I mean, you got to pay attention to it. You lost the task, which forces you to listen.
True.
It forces you to sit in the boardroom with Alan Sugar. Now you got to go through the pain of this. I mean, if you had won that, it didn't mean to say it was right. You might have won it, but it doesn't mean to say it was right. But what almost certainly you wouldn't have analysed it like you had to do with. So he's a pretty smart man.
It's true.
He's Alan Sugar. He's a bit more experienced than you and I.
It's true.
We've interviewed him at his house in Florida.
Wow.
And he's pretty cold. He
will
will tell you as it is.
He will tell you as it is.
His ability to read the room and read people is immense as well. In the moment, right now, under pressure. He's got you. And at the end of the day, though, if you're asking my opinion, I'll give you a second opinion. So that was the first. The second opinion is this: numbers don't lie. People do. We can, and cognitive bias, we can convince ourselves that was the right thing of breaking it down. Yeah, but Alan, there was this rationale. Yeah, well, there was this rationale. Numbers don't lie. It didn't work.
That's true.
They end up getting the refund. So, and you can't get around it. And business is like that. At the end of the day, business is a set of numbers. The language of business is logic and numbers.
That's true.
What was your biggest lesson on The Apprentice?
It's actually not what I thought it would be.
Go on.
Going into it as a new entrepreneur, I still consider myself a newbie in this space. I thought I would learn a lot about business, but the biggest lesson I learned was about energy. Because one episode is typically filmed over a few days, and we're filming 12 to 15 hours a day, and we get one day off, and then we're back again for 4 days. We're not sleeping much, we're not eating much. And what happened task by task is that my energy was just deteriorating. So in the house, the mistake I made, so if I would do anything differently, in the house, we have these days off. And I am very introverted in the way I get my energy back. I like to just be by myself, secluded, and that's how I get my energy back, and then I can be this character. But in the house, I'm surrounding with other people that are very extroverted, and everyone's hanging around. And what I should have done is just isolated myself and be like, all right, I got 5 hours, I'm going to be in the room by myself. But what I did was I would speak to everyone, and then I would wake up the next day with even less energy. And then as the week went on, my energy was depleting, my decision making was getting worse. So the biggest lesson I learned from The Apprentice is that you can't pour from an empty cup. Like I was by the time I got fired, I was done.
Well, that's a lesson in knowing yourself, isn't it? And acting accordingly. Knowing yourself is one thing, being yourself is another.
It's true, because I knew that I needed time,
but you didn't do it.
But I didn't do it
because of judgment.
True.
Is it because of?
It was 100%.
Yeah, but what will other think?
It was. It's like, what are they going to think? Are they going to think I'm this antisocial guy? You're right.
You know, if you could go back in The Apprentice again, second time, and you weren't afraid to fail or be judged, what would you do different?
That would be the main thing, because I feel like on task, I wasn't afraid to fail, and I went for it and I demonstrated it, and that's why I failed so much, because I was like, let's go for it, and I immersed myself. But it would be the other stuff inside in the house, just sticking my ground more.
Manage your energy.
Managing my energy.
Yeah, all right. So look, big speaker you are, big speaker in terms of communicating. So if you had one final speech to do, this was your last speech you could ever do. All right? You can prepare for it over the next couple of months. But what's the topic you're going to cover, and what's the impact that you're going to have on people, and why?
Kind of cheating, but I did a TEDx last week.
Where?
Milton Keynes.
When's it released?
September.
Cool.
And what I spoke about is that fear of judgment and what really helped me in this journey. What is helping me in this journey, because I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And what's really helping me is seeing that voice in my head as a separate entity. So I call that voice in my head Brian. I've taken the word brain and I've like swapped the A in.
Okay, yeah. My dad's called Brian.
Hi Brian. So Brian tells me that people are going to judge me. Like Brian tells me that the guys in the Apprentice house are going to think I'm weird if I'm in the room by myself. Brian tells me not to post on social media. At a conference, when it's Q&A and no one asks a question, Brian tells me don't do it. And for a long time, I tried to get rid of Brian. That's the wrong move. Because Brian's trying to keep you alive. He's been there since you were born. He's going to be there until you're gone. So what we need to do is work with Brian. So things like the nerves, the judgment, the imposter syndrome. The question isn't how do I eradicate it, because you're a human being. The question is, how can you work with it and manage it? And I think if people really understood that concept, their life would change like it did mine.
Yeah, Dr. Steve Peters, who wrote a book called The Chimp Paradox. And he's one of the biggest specialists in the world on that exact subject. And he does the same. He gets you to name your chimp.
I like it.
The limbic part of your brain. The brain, Brian,
right.
You know, that's telling you can't do this and that. My dad always told me I can. And he made me believe that anything is possible. So he was this part of my brain, the opposite of the limbic part.
If you don't mind me asking, what impact did that have on you?
Confidence, belief, optimism, natural levels of courage, being myself, less self-doubt, more relaxed.
Man,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the opposite of young people nowadays. Some young people.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I don't know everything that goes on for everyone else, and we can all play our part in changing that. So yeah, it's very common for that not to be the case. I definitely believe that self-sabotage is one of the biggest pandemics in the world. It makes COVID look very small. You know, when the world cures self-sabotage, we will advance more than when we cured COVID, if that makes sense. Procrastination's up there as well, when we cure procrastination. But I think the biggest pandemic is stress. But that's not the pandemic stress. The pandemic is how to control it, how to deal with it.
Because it's inevitable.
Yeah, of course it is. It's inevitable. You're supposed to be nervous. There's 1,000 people out there. You're supposed to be nervous. The building's on fire. You're supposed to be anxious right now. So you're going to get hungry at some point, you said earlier on. What's your definition of success?
Love that question. And it's changing.
What is it then? You get married soon.
Married soon, man. My definition of success is peace of mind. And it's something that I've matured into, or maturing into.
Yeah.
Because peace of mind is everything. Peace of mind is success. Like, some people have all the material success, but they're going crazy.
Good old Dalai Lama. There's a guy called James Allen as well. He wrote a book, As a Man Thinketh. And he says, right thought is mastery, self-control is strength, and calmness is power. Peace of mind is power. Very good. So what's the hardest lesson in the 27 years that you've existed so far?
28.
28.
Been a few. The hardest lesson, to be yourself.
I mean, you got that in The Apprentice as well, remember? It's like you didn't go and get your energy back. You weren't yourself. You knew you had to do it.
To be yourself. That's the hardest one. And I mean, growing up in Milan in Italy as the only African kid, that was not the best starting point, because I'm so different, but I want to be like everyone else. And then moving to the UK, moving to South London, and pretending to be a bad boy when I wasn't. And then, you know, at each stage, there has been an element of, bro, just be yourself. And it's a lesson that I'm still learning.
What's the biggest myth about entrepreneurship?
That you're going to be time rich?
When you start a business, you're going to be time rich. Yes,
That's what they tell you, innit?
Yeah. Entrepreneurial seizure, isn't it? You have a fit. It's like, yeah, I'm going to have all this time. I'm going to have loads of money. Yeah, there's a myth. The first few years are not like that.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah, okay, got it. What's the most beautiful thing about business?
You get out what you put in.
It's not true, that.
No?
Not in my mind.
Okay.
A lot of people put a lot of marketing out. All right. I see it on LinkedIn. I get spam all the time. I get messages on LinkedIn. I've come up with this new product and service. I think you can have... I've probably got 10 of them waiting for me right now since this morning in my inbox.
Yeah.
That means someone's put out a lot. But let me tell you, I'm just deleting that.
True. But I'm talking about effort. I think about like my 9-to-5 mate that works as a lawyer, a corporate lawyer, and he gets no sleep. And even if he gets no sleep, he doesn't really get any more money. And then I think about myself, and the more effort I put in, not just on marketing, but on networking, then I actually see a tangible result.
Yeah, there's a theory on this called the 100% rule. If you put in less than 100, you don't know how much you get back. It's just you just don't know. Which is basically what you're saying. Because if you put 90% out, do you get 90% back, or do you get 50% back, or 20% back? Do you get a little bit back? But if you go all in, 100% in,
Okay.
you're guaranteed whatever you've got back is a byproduct of what you put in.
Got it.
So there's a theory on the 100% rule. And even though I'm challenging you on it, I mean, from a marketing perspective, marketing doesn't work like that. A lot of people put a lot of marketing out and they don't get a lot of result back.
I agree.
Eventually they do. Seth Godin, have you heard of him?
No.
He's the world #1 marketer.
Okay.
He's wrote the most marketing books on the planet. But 20 years ago, he was no one. So he decided he was going to write 5 blog articles every day before 8 a.m. Every day, weekends included, holidays included, Christmas Day included. And that was his warm-up.
Wow.
5 blog articles. Blogs didn't even exist 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But he put 5 blog articles out every day before 8 a.m. and now he's the world #1 marketer.
Damn.
And eventually that level of commitment, you begin to exceed, your reputation begins to exceed you. In fact, he's getting way more out now than he's putting in, but for a long period of time, he didn't get back what he put out. But if you assess the balance over that lifetime, he's getting way more back now. He could put this out and get that much back.
So that's leverage.
It's building a reputation, in my mind, through commitment. It's who's going to commit to do it before 8 a.m. I mean, that is ridiculous levels of commitment.
Before ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's 100% in. It is before ChatGPT.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Create a blog for me.
It'd be easy now, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. What's the first action people should take now they've listened to this?
They should establish where the communication skills are holding them back. And if they are, they should do something about it. Get in touch with me.
I've got a few things actually from the conversation you just had with James,
Okay.
right? And I made a few notes on my phone.
Nice.
First one is this. You talked about logic, intuition and emotion.
Yep.
Did you deliberately give an acronym for the word lie?
Oh! No. I was going to say a lie. I was going to lie. No.
But you will now.
But I will now. Brilliant.
How do those 3 things get people lying to themselves?
Because get people lying to themselves.
Yeah.
Because people, it's all about self-awareness in those moments. So people know that they need to work on things, but it's not until they get smacked in the face that they do so.
Yeah. The tap on the shoulder is easy to ignore, right? Punch in the face isn't.
Absolutely. And it happened recently. I spoke at a conference and it was really, I had a short segment, 20 minutes. And there's a gentleman that's been working in property for years. And he's like, that was just a smack in the face. I need to work on this. So, and he's always known in the back of his mind, but that's self-awareness.
Really cool. You mentioned, you didn't mention him fully by name, but you mentioned Roger Harrop. And I only know that because I've read a couple of his books and I had him speak at an event that I was emceeing in 2018.
Small world.
And so, yeah, exactly that, right? So when you talk about the helicopter,
you're like, it's
whatever,
Roger.
what's your biggest takeaway from the things you've learned from Roger?
Oh my goodness, where do I start? Roger's been mentoring me since I was speaking in primary schools in 2021. And the biggest takeaway I got from Roger is to see my speaking career as a business. I am a business owner with a service. And when engaging with these corporations, don't just say, oh, I'm coming to speak. You know, like, provide a transformation, help them see the value that they can tangibly have from working with you. And that just changed my career.
How did it impact your marketing?
Because of the language that I used in my marketing. So when reaching out to schools, for example, which is a great example, rather than saying, I would like to motivate your students, I'm thinking about challenges that schools may face. And I'm saying, I want your students to be more employable because that's something that they actually want to do. Now, the solution is the same.
Yep.
But the way I've approached the client is totally different.
Yeah. Give me an hour in front of your students and you'll get better results.
There you go.
Yep.
Rather than, can I motivate them?
So there's a guy called Andy Bounds. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's been a guest on the podcast. He's spoken at an event we run every year called BizX. Nice. And Andy talks about afters. So basically sell the after effect of what you do.
I like it.
Don't talk about the process, talk about the afters. It's a bit like, if someone was going on holiday, Do you want to talk about the 12 hours they're going to be sat on a plane and in airports and
Bored.
stuff? Or do you want to talk about the beach or whatever the destination is when they get there, right?
That was the big mindset shift.
Looking at me personally, I'm a huge fan of the alchemy of like old school principles that never go out of date and like leading edge technology, right? If we talk about specifically in marketing, what is one old school principle that will never die with a leading edge way to use it?
Best known beats best, which simply is the best known hamburger will get more sales than the best hamburger. The best known podcast will get more sales than the best podcast.
Yep.
In this day and age, how can you be more visible? Through social media, through LinkedIn, through Instagram. And actually, a way to do that is leveraging AI.
Yep.
So whether it's with automations, whether it's with idea creation, it's about trying to be the best known, leveraging AI to help you be as visible as possible on social media.
One of our recent guests actually was talking about AI, but how to use it to be more human.
I love that.
So not to use it in a way that replaces you as a human, but a way that enables you to become effectively a better version of yourself and show up in a more human way for your audience. What's an example of how you do that?
I think in this AI revolution, being human is the real gold. So what I've done, which it has worked pretty well, is I've asked AI to search me, my topics, and then to find conferences around the world where my topics would be valuable. Mm-hmm. And then I've been able to approach conference organizers and been able to secure gigs around the world through that.
Frederick, thank you very much, sir.
It's been my pleasure.
There we go, guys.
Woo!